David Smith here with another Flipped Classroom math video. A few tips before we get started. Remember, you can always pause the video to make extra notes or write down questions for when we meet in class. Also, remember to pause the video when I provide an example. Work that problem, then start the video up again and see how well you did. You can also turn on the captions so you can see my words written below on the screen. You can also speed up or slow down the video if you wish. Remember to think hard, follow along, and bring your best brain to the next time we have class. Today's topic, X and Y intercepts. In a nutshell, intercepts are where the graph of the quadratic function, or the parabola, like I've drawn right there, where that graph crosses the X and the Y axis. So I've drawn an example here, just one way that the parabola might interact with the X and the Y axis. So, Y axis would be here. This point here, the graph is crossing the Y axis. So that's called the Y-intercept. Now in this case, I have my graph crossing the X-intercept at two places. So for this particular function, we have two X-intercepts. So now I want to talk a little bit about some characteristics of each of these two kinds of intercepts. So first off, the X-intercepts. This is the value of X when it crosses the axis. So whatever X is right there, that's the X-intercept. This happens when Y is equal to 0. And that makes sense because right here, we're not up or down. We're right on the X-axis, so that means the value of Y is 0. Same for that point. Third thing, we can find the X-intercepts by setting the quadratic function equal to 0 and solving for X. So you remember doing that in the last chapter. So this is Y. We're going to use that math to find the X-intercepts for our quadratic functions. Okay, so let's talk about the Y-intercepts. This is the value of Y when the graph crosses the Y-axis. So right here, whatever that value of Y would be, that's the Y-intercept. This happens when X equals 0. And that makes sense, because right at this point, we're not in the positive to the right or in the negative to the left. We're right at this line, which is where X equals 0. So that makes sense. Finally, we find the Y-intercept by setting X equal to 0 and solving for Y. And you've done that in the past as well. So now we'll do that in the context of dealing with these graphs. Okay, I have a question for you. How many X-intercepts are possible? So think about this graph. I've only drawn one situation. The parabola can be in a lot of different places on the coordinate plane. So pause the video, just think real hard. How many X-intercepts are possible? Okay, let's see how you did. Remember when we were solving quadratic equations right in the beginning, we talked about how many solutions were possible? The answer to this question is the same as how many solutions are possible. So we can have 0, 1, or 2 intercepts. Okay, that's the possibilities that we have there. So now I want you to pause the video and think of graphs that would have these results. Okay, so maybe pull out a piece of scratch paper if you're not already taking notes, and just draw parabolas. See if you can draw one that has 0 intercepts, one that has 1 intercept, and one that has 2 intercepts that's different from this one. Okay, let's see how you did. The 0 intercepts would be like any graph that's like that, like that, like that, right? All of these parabolas don't touch the x-axis. So whatever these functions might be, they don't have any x-intercepts. Now the 1 intercept is a little bit more tricky, but when you see it, you're going to get it. That would be like that, or like that. So it's very possible that the graph of the parabola just touches the x-intercept. And just those are two possible ways that you could have that. Now how about 2 intercepts? Well, we did one there, but there's a bunch of ways you can do that. You just have to cross the x-axis twice. So here's one, that's 2 intercepts. Here's one, and so on. I think you get the pattern. That's a way that you could have 2 x-intercepts.
that way.
If you still have questions, write them down now and bring them to our next class. You can also watch the video again and perfect your notes. Finally, if you enjoyed watching my video, please click the like button down below. And if you'd like to help me grow my YouTube channel, please click subscribe.